Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to share your daily aspects. Today is Tuesday, March 22, 2022, and the sun is in Aries today, as is the asteroid Chiron. Sun in Aries is a time of renewal, initiative, and physical action. Fresh life literally springs forth all around us. The sense of momentum at this time can be translated into actions and new beginnings in our approach to living. Chiron in Aries points to our self-expression and how we feel accepted or received in the world. The sun puts a spotlight in or on our yearning to heal by expressing ourselves authentically and feeling accepted, but also, caring the right amount about what other people think of us. The moon begins today in Scorpio, making ingress to Sagittarius this afternoon. This represents a shift in the personal life from a deeply internal, controlled search for truth to a radically external, open search for truths that are universal. And the waning gibbous phase invites us to reflect and review the culmination of last month's goals, taking time to consider what may be ready for release from our lives before we begin to set new priorities. So review and release. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the aspects today. I just want to remind you that there's a key on the side. So most of the symbols that are on the page have made it into the key. If you need a name or an idea to go with a symbol that you're looking at, they're probably all over here. Otherwise, I'm going to go over them all as we go through the aspects today. And I've divided the page into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. So the moon is the luminary that sheds light on our inner lives. This is how it feels to be in our body, heart, and mind, our relationship with ourselves, those things that we think, feel, know, and intuit, and also who we are in our home space as well as who is there with us. And the aspects and transits that the moon makes are all relatively brief, and they have, again, more to do with that stuff that's on the inside, the things that we think, feel, know, and intuit, but that might not ever find expression in the outer life, depending on our choice. The sun sheds light on the outer life, and this is more about who we are in the work, social, and civic spheres, the part of us that interfaces with the rest of the world. And I address the sun and the other planets' aspects on this side because they have more to do with who we are out in the world, and they tend to take longer than these lunar aspects as well. Okay, and we start with the moon today, friends, Central Standard Time at 2:26 in the morning. The moon makes a trine aspect with Neptune. This can bring about, it's a very early morning aspect. You might still be in bed, but it's the moon in aspect with Neptune makes us very sensitive to our connection to spirit and our connection to the people around us, sort of almost psychic about the feelings of the way things are going on around us. And in that trine condition, which is positive, ideal functioning, very harmonious, we can get this inner sense of being connected and in the flow of spirit, or in other words, a very inspired feeling. It's a good time to dive into your creative practices, or perhaps even your intuitive practices. And then at 11:01 a.m., a void of course moon makes a sextile with Pluto before making transit into Sagittarius. So I've mentioned this thing that I've noticed that the planets seem to make not always, but seem to make an aspect with Pluto before they make transit into the next sign. And it's not all the time, but I'm just mentioning it because I've noticed it. This void of course moon in sextile with Pluto, and the moon's in aspect with Pluto, it's like our inner life and deep recall or deep emotions or deep understanding and realization. And that sextile aspect brings in a very a positive, cooperative, generative vibe that can bring something good out of it. So transformation vibes, Pluto is transformation. They are working with and for us at this time in our inner lives. And that's very fortunate because at 1:59 p.m., the moon is going to make transit into, or make ingress into Sagittarius. So here you have a nice 3-hour void of course, where it's a good time to dive into those, a really good time to dive into those intuitive and creative practices. Your journaling, your tarot, your I Ching, whatever it is that you use, meditation, to have the conversations with yourself that are necessary for your personal transformation in the world, for your personal growth in the world. This is the good time to be focusing on that. Between about 11 o'clock and 2 p.m. today, if you get a little bit of time to do some journaling or just to turn within and spend some time sitting quietly with yourself, I recommend it. And then the moon makes ingress to Sagittarius at around 2. And, when the moon is in Sagittarius, we feel adventurous and we seek out new experiences to integrate in our heart and home. Okay, so this is a 2.5-day transit. It takes the moon 2.5 days to transit through one sign. These are both 2-hour aspects. So that's about the time that those vibrations are the strongest. And if you're one of those people who is sensitive to those sort of energies that affect the way we think, feel, know, and intuit, you're likely to experience them around those times. Okay. Ooh. Now I'm going to move on to the sun side of the page. In the ongoing column right now, we have Venus square Uranus and Venus sextile Chiron. So these are happening sort of simultaneously. The Venus sextile Chiron is going to leave us before Venus square Uranus, but it's good that it's here to help us get ourselves in order, because, Venus square Uranus really indicates impulsiveness with our receptivity, impulsiveness regarding what we want, what we like, love, and can't get enough of, the things we need and desire. So it's important to remember when we're feeling impulsive about what we want to get for ourselves. When we're feeling impulsive, sometimes we get impatient. We feel like we're not being compensated properly, and that's on an emotional level, or also on a pentacles sort of physical finance level. When we don't feel like we're getting what we want, sometimes our hearts and minds wander to different ways that we can get what we want. Just remember that not all that glitters is gold, and think about in our effort to mend our sort of cracked sense of receptivity at this time, we have to remember what it is that does satisfy us, like that we already know how to get these needs met, and call in on those things that are tried and true for us at this time. Venus is still in Aquarius, and Saturn is still sitting in Aquarius. Saturn is about what's tried and true. It's about, building on and strengthening the foundations that we have already, not just going off in search of new fun because the old fun doesn't satisfy the way it used to. So I took those together on purpose that way. We have this perhaps impulsiveness in our desire to receive at this time, in what we're accepting in terms of attention and affection and resources and compensation. But we have to remember not to be very impulsive about making those changes, because we're not necessarily likely to make good choices at that time. We can face challenges. Okay, so use this cooperative vibration between Venus and Chiron, that's receptivity and healing, to remind yourself of what will work, what is tried and true, to get those needs met. And then also we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Today is the final day for Mercury conjunct Jupiter. But this came in right after that Jupiter sextile, that long Jupiter sextile Uranus aspect that we had, that kept saying, if you make changes for the better, even if they're uncomfortable, if they're for the better, then good fortune will follow. And so now we're being eyes opened. Okay, Mercury is about your intellect, what you think, what you plan, and what you communicate. And it's in this very amplified situation with Jupiter. So it's our thoughts are amplified, but also our sense of expansion. Jupiter's here to make us to help us notice, to make us see and feel and know what it feels like to expand, to grow, and to see that we can be bigger, do, and have more than we already do. So this is really about an expanded awareness of our personal capacity for greatness. And by greatness, I don't just mean like this grandeur, of this, this ideal that we could be the president or the king of the world, or, a CEO, like not greatness in necessarily that way, greatness in the way that you are, just a more expanded, generous, well-resourced version of who you are is where we're trying to get, right? And a more expanded, my expanded awareness of how much bigger and more I can be in the world is the first thing that helps me get in that direction, right? Thoughts, words, and actions. So first I have to be able to conceive and perceive of being bigger than I am, a bigger version of myself than I am. And that's what our eyes have been open to here. So I really love the vibe of that, and hopefully you've taken some advantage of it. Taken together with this Mars square Uranus thing that's coming in today, this comes in with a little bit of rebellious vibe. And I just want to remember to bring it back to, this comes back to a rebellious vibe, but the rebellious vibe is not for no reason. It's, our assertiveness may seem a little bit reckless. We may make changes that don't seem to make any sense to the people around us, but they make sense to us because we have this expanded awareness of our personal capacities. And, some of the things that we've been doing up to now will begin to feel somewhat limiting. We want more from ourselves because we want more for ourselves. And so if it feels a little rebellious, or it feels like we're taking action in an initiative that people didn't see coming, it's really just because, we're in a growth phase and we're taking initiative at this time. In the ongoing column still, we have Mars sextile Chiron, and I want to take that together with Mars square Uranus, which comes in today at 3:44 p.m. Because you see, you have Venus square Uranus, Venus sextile Chiron, right? Now you see Mars square Uranus, Mars sextile Chiron. They're not happening at the same time anymore because Mars and Venus are no longer conjunct, okay? But they're still close enough that they're making a lot of the same aspects as one another. So, where this was impulsive receptivity, this is more impulsive assertiveness. It's more of a sort of we're likely to leap before we look, right? And we want to remember not to do that. And also there is a rebellious vibration to it. This is like, I want to act on the changes that I instinctively want to make. So that's not stopping to talk to anybody about it. That's not stopping to make a plan or to consider the consequences. That's just taking action impulsively on something you'd like to do differently right now. And the square aspect here says challenges might come up with that. Okay, our impulsiveness may not be our instinctive impulsiveness might not be spot on with what we're trying to achieve in the moment. And so here comes Mars sextile Chiron. This is mending our sense of assertiveness through cooperation. Okay, that cooperative vibe comes in there and says our assertiveness needs to cooperate a little bit with our need to heal. And this really comes back to that conversation we were having about having control over your impulses, over your emotions and your passionate drives, to have a little bit of a foresight. Remember to consider the consequences of your actions in advance, okay? Because when you remember to do that, then these impulsive changes that you want to make, you just give them a second thought is all you do. You think about the consequences, and then you can go ahead and make the change. It's just a reminder to do it in a cooperative way and not in a way that challenges you or the people around you. And then also on the ongoing side of the page, we have this Sun sextile Pluto. It will be with us for a couple more days. Just moving that around like there's all the room in the world. Okay, so Sun sextile Pluto here is the spotlight on your personal resource of power. We talked yesterday about how initiative and drive and the will to act, those are internally resourced. Okay, those are resources that come from within, just like when we were talking about with cups and how, you know, your emotion and your intuition and your inspired creativity are also resources that come from within that help you to create what you want. Without initiative coming from within, without that sense of initiative, there's no moving forward with your projects, with your creativity, with the things that inspire you. So this is, you know, our outer life, our personal selves in a cooperative vibration with those transformative powers, transformative energies. Those transformative energies are very powerful. They literally move us forward. They take us out of an ending and into a beginning. So that's a very powerful turning point, and we are able to harness the power of that turning point at this time in a really cooperative, highly functioning way. And then we have drive and initiative in our hands. So whatever it is that we're trying to get started on, whatever transformations we're trying to make, whatever end we're trying to make so that we can make a new beginning, we have that power at this time. And it couples very nicely with this aspect that comes in today, Sun trine Moon at 5:52. Sun trine Moon, this is really an indicator of the phase of the moon. We're at about the halfway point between the full moon and the third quarter moon down here in Capricorn. So that's when we'll get from, you know, reviewing and thinking about what we're going to let go of to actually starting to let go of things. But symbolically, Sun trine Moon is a moment of really inner and outer alignment. That's your outer life in a really positive, ideally functioning, harmonious vibration with your inner life. So your outer perceptions and your inner perceptions, your conscious and your subconscious, the stuff you're working on out in the world and the stuff that you need for yourself at home in alignment. So this is really positive, ideal personal functioning. And, you know, what better personal functioning to have when you've got this real boost of power as the sun has just entered Aries and we've got all this initiative and momentum behind us anyway. So, you know, there's a lot of sun going on, and there's a lot of, you know, the sun is in Aries, and there's a lot of Mars still going on the page. So there's still a lot of initiative and forward motion. If you're feeling momentum or if you're feeling a lot of initiative at this time, you would not be alone. This is very much in the air. It is springtime. Go with it. Go with it. Okay. And then coming up tomorrow, Mercury is going to make a conjunct with Neptune. So it'll be out of that conjunct with Jupiter and then come into the conjunct with Neptune. They're all hanging out there in Pisces, remember? So Mercury conjunct with Neptune while it's in its home sign of Pisces is really, you know, a more communicative thoughts, plans, and communications, amplified with our sense of inspiration, our sense of inspired creativity, and our connection, our sense of connection. And that's connection to the self, it's connection to the human collective, to our friends, family groups, but also to our communities, our work, social and civic groups, and also to spirit. So this is planning and communication amplified with our connection to spirit and everything. So definitely we're probably going to be feeling very connected to these flows of initiative and momentum that we're feeling. And that's going to be a fun one to talk about tomorrow. Capricorn, third quarter moon in Capricorn comes in on Thursday. And like I said, that'll be when we make that shift from reviewing to actually releasing before we reach the new moon, where we have that clean slate to it, where we can apply our new intentions and goals. And then coming up on Saturday, Mercury will make that sextile with Pluto before making ingress to Aries. So Pluto before an ingress again. So Mercury in sextile with Pluto will be a conversation about the transformative energies in our lives and how we're feeling with, planning for, doing that. And then Mercury into Aries will have a more direct and driven approach to our thoughts and plans and communications than when it was in Pisces. And that is it for the aspects today. Thank you so much for being here with me today, friends. I appreciate your presence. If you have any thoughts about this, if anything comes up for you, if you'd like any clarification, if you have a question, please leave a comment in the section below and I will see it and I will respond to it. Also, if you're still here with me, just like my video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications bell. I post here every day and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. Now I'm in the habit of switching over to talk a little bit about some tarot. We're going to discuss the tarot card that's on the side of the page, and then we're going to throw another tarot card, hopefully to cover and bind together the energies for the day. The tarot card on the side of the page is the Two of Wands at this time. It relates to the first 10 days of the sun's transit through Aries, right? So the sun has a 30-day transit through Aries. It's divided into three sections, three 10-degree sections. And the first 10 degrees is the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands is a really fresh beginning. It's about inspiration and drive and passion. And what it brings to us is planning, discovery, especially discovery in the outer world. And it's the point where our visions, our ideas are sort of transformed into progress. And that really brings me back to this Mercury conjunct Jupiter, where, our eyes are being opened to the bigger, better version of ourselves that we can be, right? We've been our eyes have been open to our own expansiveness, our own potential for growth and greatness in the world. And that really just reads right here in this picture of this person. It reminds me sort of like of the old stories of Columbus, but this person's got a globe in their hand and they've got a couple of accomplishments. I think of the wands as sort of trophies or accomplishments under their belt, and they know how to make a good start now. So they know what to do with the material that they work with, and so they can go ahead and make plans and really start transforming their vision for the future into something that is actually happening. And I think that's all I have to say about that today. Now I'm going to grab my cards and mix them up a little bit more while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Aries and so is Chiron. Chiron in Aries is really all about our personal identity and our sense of belonging in the world. So mending our personal identity and our sense of belonging in the world is going to be very much under the spotlight while we have this Aries initiative and in the sun's influence in this Aries initiative. And then the moon is in Scorpio, making ingress to Sagittarius this afternoon. So we come from, an inner search for truth to more outer adventurous search for universal truths. And it's a time with the waning gibbous moon to really think about how things went for us in the last month and what we would like to not have happen again, because that is part of the creative process, is getting rid of the stuff that didn't work for us or isn't going to work for us anyway. So go ahead and begin to make that list for yourself, those things that need to be pushed out. And, we've got the Venus square Uranus, Venus sextile Chiron thing that says, we have some impulsive ideas regarding our receptivity, what we like, love, and can't get enough of, what we would like to be receiving. But we have to realize that not all that glitters is gold, and, know that we already have good avenues for satisfying our needs and desires. Mercury conjunct Jupiter, that expanded awareness of our personal capacity for greatness, to just be bigger, better, more expanded and well-resourced versions of who we already are. And then you've got Mars in that square with Uranus and that sextile with Chiron as well. That's more about impulsive assertiveness, remembering to look before we leap, not going charging in without a second thought, without considering the consequences of our actions in advance. A little bit of self-mastery, a little bit of control over our emotional and passionate impulses will take us a long way. And then the sun is, trine with the moon while it's sextile with Pluto. So this is like ideal personal inner and outer life alignment while we have this very positive push of power to move forward, to generate good things for ourselves in this time of initiative. So I love all of that. And then on the lunar side, the part where we, this is our inner life where we think, feel, know, and intuit. The moon, trine, Neptune, helps us feel very inspired and connected. Mercury tomorrow is going to have us talking about how inspired and connected we feel. Moon sextile Pluto, gives us a chance to work with our sense of the transformations we're going through in a positive way that generates good outcomes. We've got that nice 3-hour voided course where we can do some journaling or some meditation. And then the moon moves into Sagittarius. So our little hearts grow wings and they fly out into, I guess I envision like our hearts growing wings and flying out over the mountain valley and being able to see all the little things happening down below and feeling free and adventurous and cognizant of more universal truths. And with that said, I'm going to turn this over. Nine of Rods. We've had this one recently. So rods are wands. It's the same. Just depends on the deck how they're going to express that. It can be wands or staves or rods or sticks or, whatever. But it represents fire in tarot. So it's like I said before, it's sort of like their achievements, or they are trophies for the achievements we've done. And Nine of Rods came up recently, and it's just that, like, that's a lot to have achieved, right? That's a lot of trophies you've got stacked up on your shelf there, and it's something to be proud of, and it's a record that one can spend time and effort defending. But we also have to remember that eventually you stack up enough trophies, and it's going to be too much. You'll be sort of blinded by the load. When you see the 10 of rods, you know what I mean? You're kind of carrying around all these trophies or all these accomplishments and achievements that you've made, and being so focused on defending your record regarding what you've achieved in the past that it's almost impossible to see the way forward. So, yes, stand by your achievements, defend your record if you feel that you must, appreciate what you have achieved, but also think about the fact that eventually that trophy case is going to go. Those trophies aren't doing anything for you. It might be time just to polish them off, have one last fond look at that memory, and then let the parts go so that you can make that new beginning without becoming overburdened first. The Two of Wands is really what we're working on here, this planning and discovery, this looking forward to the accomplishments we're going to make, right? This is the beginning, and this is really close to the end of the cycle. So some of us are probably still in that mode, or, we don't know how to move forward and integrate that trophy case in the moving forward that we're trying to do. I can relate to that a lot. I've been doing massage for 20 years and I'm about to retire. I'm trying to make a shift into writing at this time. And so, on the one hand, I love doing massage and I've made many accomplishments doing it. And I feel very good about my record as a massage therapist. And if somebody called into question my record as a massage therapist, I would definitely stand up and defend my accomplishments. But I also don't want to become overburdened with my idea of myself as a great massage therapist. I'm trying to make a new start. I'm trying to make plans and discover a new way of being in the world. So I kind of have to hang up that strong identification I have with just being a good massage therapist. So that's an example for you of what I mean by, polishing those trophies one more time and then sort of letting them go before they become a burden that you can't see past or move past, right? All right, and I think that's all I have to say about that. So thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all so much for showing up every day. My name is Mel Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more astrology today.